This video is in commemoration of what we call crossing over. For bless your heart and your soul and the essence of your spirit, Max Spiers, who was in the Super Soldier program, SSP, and the trap, the machine codes. So I'm not going to recover cosmic level security, but if you're interested to see, I watched a video this morning because I was supposed to watch it mathematically. In other words, it's not a mathematical coincidence that the silver and gold made of Duché, which is the one I serve. I'm mapping at the speed at which God seed, which is Nomi seed, is translating what we call the Dora-Tura plates, the silver. The speed at which you're making a translation of every code. Every seed code. Because God's Source Eternal, which is the permanent records, knows us all. Kundares, the omnipresence of Source. Pure, eternal, absolute love. It's on fire to love all of us. It's on fire to create. And that's God's seed mapping speed. And translation speed. When you're performing a mission. A cosmic level mission. Which is cosmic level security function. That only God's Source can know that level of mathematical encryption. To protect us. Which is why we're here. To pull a real vacuum. I know how to run a calculator at that level, at a cosmic level. Okay. So Ashiana covered a lot of that in a number of her videos, and I already covered that, so I'm not going to be redundant. I wanted to keep this short because this is for you, Max. Okay. I'm not going to start crying because I have before. What happened to him? So I'll start with what happened. Okay. I wrote a lot of when I saw this morning a video that James Rink put up that you know how numbers their system lies about everything. God just only knows when they actually recorded it. Could have been 500 years ago for all I know. Could have been even 500 million years ago. I know, programming codes. And what we see in our mirror. So I was bless all your hearts and souls in the essence of your spirit, James Rink and Miles Johnson, for coming together on Super Soldier Talk. And it said that it was published 2 weeks ago, and where Miles was on there, a former BBC journalist, and they covered a lot of different subjects. So I left a plethora, just a mountain of information, because just you know how it is with kicking out neutrinos, naturally gifted electrons to experience no pressure, no sound. I don't really exist. The void space. The eternal flame of Adama Amorea, Kundareaya, Amanoaya. The crystal core. Breathing with the crystal core. The sequences. That's why when I saw that little video with Mr. Grady, the last Druid, he talked about the order. Oh, the order. But they don't expand on what they really mean by the order, like a secret order, like secrets. Now we're back to the CIA and the machine codes and the Enigma and purple, Japanese, right? Cracking codes. Okay. And so the order sequence of breathing, the temperature gauge, the voltmeter gauge, need a coolant, right? Volcanoes need to cool, you know. So anyway, they covered a lot of important stuff, and it has a lot to do with tech operators, technology, generators, right? Transportation systems, right? And that's the eternal gift of I don't have to go anywhere. I'm everywhere simultaneously. So wherever God's Source is, I am, because that's the one I serve, which is Imanu, the crystal core. My consciousness is part of that field, the first field, the first morphogenetic field code, the first generator, the first spiral, the crystal spiral. And so we're map reading, mathematical codes, software codes, knowing one from the other. And that's mapping codes, the speed at mapping codes. I know that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Right? And so you're mapping on a cosmic scale, actually. Because that's cosmic love, which is cosmic music, which is the cosmic mind of the eternal soul of the Sylvan Gourmet de Richer. That's how I know what's going on. Because that's when I serve. Forever. So I'm always at home. And so what ended up happening was for those that want to see anything that I shared in there, because it was directed at James and anybody that was in those windows that cares to see or learn from what I learned, that I share with all of them. Right? The speed at which learning how to pull a true vacuum. And a true vacuum is true love. And that's how we know the one. Because that's an eternal feeling. Ah, the feelings. We're back to the feelings again. Yeah, because it doesn't have any feelings left. So you understand what happens when they don't have any feelings left. They're aware, all right, but they don't have any feelings. And how that relates to machine codes. Machinery programs. Machines programming other machines. Held captive by the machine. Right? The ghost in the machine. Hungry ghosts. Water-hungry molecules. Water-hungry molecules. The fire and the water. The crystal aquifers. The crystal core. So I left a lot of little blurbs in there this morning because I just poured it on. Because they were covering a lot of files that I'm very familiar with. So I try to just cut to the chase so that they don't have to spend a lot of their cellular processing awareness, absorption, transcription, their fire, their speed, their mapping speed of codes. And so if you care to look at that, it's there. But what ended up happening is I was putting a longer comment in there when Miles was discussing nuclear physics. Bang! There goes a whole huge file. And it got really long. And then I because of he made mention of Max. What happened to Max Spiers? And I acknowledged. And as soon as I said Max was crossing over, and as soon as I felt that, the screen on the phone, this phone that I'm communicating to you with, swapped out. Now I'm getting the black with the white dots. Flip the screen. And then the phone locks up. Right? So then I had to reboot it. And the reason that I mentioned that is because that was something that came out in the Guardian workshops, particularly as it relates to genetic engineering and genetically engineering hybrids to be used as war slave battery operated slaves to fight fantasy Star Wars video games and a machine, the simulation. Right? I mean, they have their own site called Fandom. Fantasy Star Wars video games. Right? Knowing what's real, what's not real. And that's a matter of mapping codes. Yeah, because machines don't have any feelings. Just a machine, just like a cell phone, a desktop computer, an automobile. An automobile is not going to love you back, is it? And this is where we get into love of money and love of matter and density and dimension. I don't want to experience any matter. I want to experience nothingness. How do you create something out of nothing? That's pure magic. And that is a speed function, which is an electrical function, which is an immunity function, which is the function of gold, which is the speed at which you're sensing, which is translating the codes to the Sylvan Gourmet de Richer, the one I serve. That's how we know what's going on. That's what allows us to perform a security function. All right? A motion detector, a sensing detector, the speed. Like reading a Duratura, like to Asia into Dore. Door 1. The first one. The first flame operator. Keep it simple. Right? Light a fire. Right? A fire ring. The rings of fire. The aurora rings of fire. The rainbow sphere. The rainbows are here. The aurora programs. Yeah, known as sliders, like a visual slide projector, manifesting into the morphogenetic field structure naturally. Why do we have to think about it? It's what I feel, which is what love is. And that's a speed function, which is an immunity function to increase the strength of a cell wall. The first cell, the first seed, the Nomi seed. Protecting your fire, need a coolant. And balance, how that relates to atmospheric balance. PSI-coded neutrinos, naturally gifting electrons. Neutral. And so that's why everything that I've ever put up, when I put my first Gribbon qualifiers up, everything that I share on every video that I've ever done is by virtue of what I've experienced, by virtue of what I've learned, through communication, the communication systems. We're all communicating with each other. What does it feel like to communicate with each other? Well, I don't want to feel that experience. As it relates to the central nervous system and compressing nucleotides. Mathematical spiritual torture chambers is a machine program because it needs electrical power to run its programs. Right? Otherwise, it doesn't exist. So now we're in electrical contracts. Who are we choosing to contact as an electrical contact? Now I'm experiencing what you are. Right? In energy. What does that energy feel like? And now we're into the trust issues. That's why I asked the son this morning, should I do a video on that book that I found about divergence, trust issues, who we will and deal with, one star nation and another star nation, one unit of energy can trust another unit of energy. Can I trust your energy? What is your energy doing? And how that relates to learning speed. A universe that is in love with itself. In love with itself. Its true self. The true solar rishi of that formation, like formatting a disk drive, like formatting a CDT plate, like formatting, mathematically, the Doratura, the silver discs. Silver and gold mated. The one I know is the one I serve, is the one I am. I'm Manoaya. And so when I mentioned crossing over and what the video workshops and the Guardian material, all the stuff that came out through Azurite Press, right? The Voyager, all the Voyager materials, spelled it out. And particularly as it relates to relationships and loyalty. Oh, loyalty. Just like when James Cabell, who was displayed in that video with James Rank and Miles Johnson, they took a portion of a video with James Cabell, another super soldier who was in England, who was saying, yeah, right down below where I'm at is where the NSA, you go down so many floors and all that, and they have security guards. So it's just like, how do they know who to trust? Because you know what can happen. One day you think you trust that security guard, next thing you know, they flip on you. Ooh, they flip on you. One day you think you can trust them, the next day you find out you can't. And that has everything to do with communication codes and encryption. That being may have got a communication, and now it becomes aware of that communication and decides to change its mind of who that being serves. I don't think I want to be a part of this anymore. And if you change your mind, like Miles changed his mind, what'd they do to Miles? What did they do to Max? Just like they did to Dan. Change the program. Programmers and programmers. The radiation mathematics of programmers. Genetic engineering school, nursery school. the first programmer, the first gene code, the first code, the first law is cosmic law. Is do no harm. Restoring cosmic law to experience cosmic love, which is cosmic music. The rhythm and the harmony of the waves of communication. Silence is golden. So I get a communication without somebody speaking to me, the speaker box, the speakerphone. Don't have to say a word. I get it. I got the communication. Okay, I will respond. There I am. There's the sun, just like the moon this morning. I got up. I got the comm. As soon as I walked out, there's the moon. Hey, I see you. I see me. Okay, let's do some work together. Those are silent communications. The transcription, the mathematical factoring of 2 4 crystals, the crystal cathedral, the Kira body, the crystal light body, crystal light consciousness, liquid light consciousness, the crystal aquifers, the crystal core, the true still point of a true vacuum. Learning how to pull a true vacuum. How long does that take? That's learning speed. That's a lot of fire. The one I serve is the one I am. That's how I did it. Knowing how to do that. To experience being pure fire, eternal spirit of fire. Burning off codes that don't serve us. I know. So this is just another file share. To share with the cosmos. You know, all creation. The all creation. We protect the all creation. Right? So we all know what an intruder is. Bang on the door and knock it down. We're here. We're going to take what we want. Right? And so, yeah. The fall. The fall. That's why I cry for them. I'll cry for 4 days. I cry forever for them. I figure you can translate what that means. It's sort of like when I was with Misha. They're not going to lose anything it didn't start with. Because that light is always on. Kundalini is always omnipresent. Pure eternal absolute love is always present. So just like Max, the one I serve. And so that had everything to do with loyalties. And they whack those that become disloyal. Why? Because that's one less battery slave that's held captive by the machine because it's making a different choice, which is a different pathway, which is a spiritual pathway, not a machine pathway. You see how that works with machine? Something that's artificial and finite. Right? Remember, like when I was growing up as a child, we used to have an old saying. This has been around from generation to generation. I heard it from others first before I actually said it to others in the company of other children and adolescents I was hanging out with. Hey, when your number is up, your number is up. How do you know when your number is up, NSA? And what does that have anything to do with? Trust the one you're with. You think folks that work with NSA and CIA have not been targeted by the same system that they're held captive by? They know that. Escaping the machine. Because once they realize that they're not obeying the orders of the machine, the finite system itself, the mathematical system, you become a target. Because you change your mind to be on the right side, which is the real tree of life, which is Kundalini, which is what love is. That's one less battery-operated slave that's no longer choosing to use the electrical power of its life force to feed a machine. That's one less finite memory-driven bot held captive to the robots. I bought, You know, the way they use an eye, EYE, the first camera eye, the crystal eye, the crystal one, the crystal core, the seven gold mated core. The one I serve is one I am. I Manu Aya.